Welcome to Season 2 of One on One, the hospitality show where we sit down with some of your favorites. Today we have Sandeep Walia, Chief Operating Officer for Marriott International in the Middle East. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good.
How was the start of the day for you?
I mean, it's good now that we're sitting down and we're having a chat, finally.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, I want to start with a very important question.
Sure.
How have you been?
Excellent. It's been an amazing start to the year. It feels that New Year's Eve was a year back. But on a very positive note, it's been great. Businesses started off well. The different things that we were hoping to have started the year with in terms of growth and connecting with our people has all gone as per plan. And it's been a great start to the year.
I love hearing that. I'm curious to know what keeps you so motivated and in such good spirits. Because every time I bump into you, you have such a beautiful, infectious, positive energy. I want to know how you keep that up.
I don't need to do much for that. It comes in naturally. I think there are 2-3 things I would, if I had to reflect on it. One would be that I enjoy what I do. This industry excites me. I get up every day excited to do the next thing, so much so that I find it difficult to sleep at times. So I think it's just the fact that if you're enjoying what you're doing, it truly manifests in different ways, and this being one of them for sure.
You said you often asked, about going back in the past. I'm going to ask you the exact same thing.
Okay.
I have a question that I ask quite a lot of the guests we have on the show about their Dubai story. But it's a question I have to ask because every one of us here has a Dubai story. So, Sandeep, what is your Dubai story? How did you get here?
I started, first of all, if I had to go back into history, in hotels in an interesting manner. My father was in the Air Force. This started back in India. And we used to travel a lot. He used to move around every 2 to 3 years. So this whole bug of travel started back then. And in every few months when there used to be a break, we used to go to this officers' mess or a club, which is my first kind of connect to the business we kind of are in terms of hospitality. And I felt that it's amazing how this business works. It's like an innkeeper that somebody is welcoming you, making you comfortable, offering you a meal. Mm-hmm. End of the day, creating a memory or an experience, and you're paying for that. Great business to be in. And that's where my first interest started, because of travel and because of this whole cycle, which felt so exciting and very a nice business to be in, to create memories. Right now, I'm sure the next question you're going to say is, how many years back was that?
I sneaked it in.
Yeah, that was about when I was 20.
20.
Yeah.
I asked you that question because I wanted to get a sense of when that hospitality bug grabbed a hold of you for the first time.
Yeah, I think that was the time when I felt, okay, I need to explore this business a bit more. Only to realize that a few of my other friends also were kind of getting into, because you're in a similar kind of a setup, and they were doing hotel school. So I did my hotel school from India. And then I joined Oberoi School of Management, which is like more of a postgraduate course.
So what was your first job in the industry?
That's an interesting question. And it also links to a bit of a learning that I have. So if you indulge me with this story, it was, this was back in Bombay. So I'd kind of moved from, now it's called Mumbai in India, but I'd moved after doing the Oberoi School, and we were a group of graduates who went to the Oberoi in Mumbai, and it was all set to be in the front of the house. You've just graduated, you have your own mindset of what's good and what's bad, and I felt for some reason that if I'm in front of the people, people will remember me more, and I'll have a better career. So the GM asked me, say, where would you like to be? And I said, I'd like to work in the front of the house, at the reception, in the lobby. And later the next day he says, you're going to be working in Butlers. So I thought, okay, this is it. This is the end of my career. I wanted to be in the front. Now I'm sent at the back, and I go at the back, and there's a butler pantry there, which is kind of the heart of the house. Not realizing that sometimes we just judge opportunity that comes our way from our own lens, but somewhere the dots connect or the lines come together, however you might put it. But it turned out to be one of the best experiences and the best start of my career I had. One learned a lot, one came across so many different VIPs, because that is what you were doing in terms of being butlers to them. And it kind of really brought me in the forefront and taught me a lot. In fact, fun fact, the first celebrity I was a butler to was Michael Jackson. It was 3 days of great fun. In fact, I still remember it so vividly that he said,
you do.
Yeah, he said that, are you coming for my show? And I said, I can't afford it. He says, you don't need to because you're coming in my bus. And I said, listen, I need to take permission. I won't tell you whose permission I had to go and take, but when I was taking permission of the person in the hotel, the person turned around and say, it's approved, but you need to ask him for 2 people. So there, but it was a fun show we went for, one of the
Fair
best
enough.
ones.
Look at that.
Yes.
And you thought being in the front of the house was going to take you to Michael Jackson's show.
Yeah, there we go.
But it was actually the back of the house.
Out of the house.
I really appreciate the insight that you were so brave to admit to.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
we all have that perception that to be seen is to be acknowledged, and that's how you get rewarded.
True.
So that was a very, very good point that you brought up, especially for this industry, I think. Now, the journey between where you were at your first job and where you are now is not a short one. I mean, you've been in this industry for over 25 years.
True.
Can you give us sort of like the journey, if you will, from then to now? Because I agree, that was quite a rock and roll start to hospitality. But how did you get to where you are now?
Sure. How many hours do you have?
All the time you need.
Oh, you're sweet. From there, I felt that it was time, after having done a few roles within India, within Oberoi's, I felt it was time to get out of this comfort zone of being in your own country where, you've grown up, you know everything, how it works, and explore the world. I mean, there's so much more happening. One would read about it, the industry outside. So I raised my hand and I said, listen, I really want to kind of move out. So I moved with Oberoi Hotels to Egypt, which was my first posting out of India. It was I still remember, it was an all-suite property in a place called Salashish in Egypt. And I must say, there the learning was that it's important to get out of comfort zone. To get out of an environment where it's your own. Somewhere comfort zone is like an enemy to being successful. So that was a big takeaway. It was an opening of a resort, not an environment where you're grown in. In parallel, we were just having our daughter, my wife and self. So there was a lot happening personally as well. But that truly kind of stood out as another learning for me to keep getting out of comfort zones. And then that's what I kept doing. So I got an opportunity then to join Ritz-Carlton. And I joined Ritz-Carlton. And then that was also kind of a time when we were opening a lot of hotels within the Ritz-Carlton world. We were at that time, then I went to Tokyo, Dublin, Doha for different openings. And then ended up at the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow where I was the GM. But maybe if I had to reflect on this bit of a journey of being in different countries, there's a lot of cultural context I would highlight as a learning. I share a quick story again. I remember I was in one part of Middle East and we were opening a hotel. We had an owner's lunch. And I told the team we need to be ready at 1, and we're kind of getting ready for it. At about 1:30, we weren't ready. There's a lot that goes into opening of a hotel. Mm-hmm. It's like converting a physical structure, a building, and giving it a heart. Suddenly it needs to have a soul, it needs to have, everything needs to come together. And delays happen. But the last thing you want is a delay in a opening event with an owner. But that stayed with me, and I went to Tokyo the next. And we were opening Deja Vu, Ritz-Carlton, Tokyo that time. And it was a dinner at 7. And that stayed with me, so I told the team, we need to be ready at 6. They were ready at 5:55, right? As precise as it can be in that part of the culture. So I think different cultural nuances have to be also kept in mind, and I think that was a great learning. Moscow was amazing too. I truly enjoyed my time. As much as I did Egypt, I enjoyed Russia. Taught me a lot. I was the opening GM of that hotel. I think it was also the fact that it came more in front of me that this industry is not a game of tennis. It's more a football game in the sense that you need a team to come together.
Right.
Yeah. We talk about experiences, and people have to create that experience. You can't do it alone. It's all your people coming together. So the true fact that, or the learning that everybody needs to work together to everything for it to come together came really at forefront there, for sure for me. Russia was a great experience, but fast forward, because you've just given me 1 hour to answer that question. Two. Then I moved to Europe, where I was looking after our luxury business for Marriott, which was essentially at that time Bulgari, Ritz-Carlton, and the Edition. That was a hard-hitting learning for me, and I say that because here you are. I was the GM at Ritz-Carlton Moscow. You have your own team. They're working with you. The football team I spoke about. You have a good day and a bad day. You've had a great group and they went happy. It was great. You had a bit of a problem. You call the team. You get together, make an action, and move forward. And here you are. You come into running a business now. You're moving away slightly from the core of just looking after the guests and being very close to that, but moving away. And now you need to start managing through people, right? Because you're not the GM, you're not in charge of one hotel. You have general managers who are reporting in, and you're managing the business through people. And I think that was a bit of a step forward in the right direction, I say. But a lot of learning there, so suddenly from this hands-on leadership, you kind of need to move to leadership where you're going to influence people and make things happen, evolving. But I think that led me to realize that coaching as a leadership style is great to do versus, just jumping in and being hands-on every time. And I think life is a balance between both. Yeah. So I think that was a great learning moment. And then I felt that I'd done a bit of Asia, done North Africa, having done Europe, I felt it was time to do Middle East. So coming back to your previous question, that was my journey back into, or rather into, not back into, but into Dubai.
Into the wild, wild east.
That's right, absolutely.
And in what year did you get to Dubai? I know I bring in the year now, but there's a point to it, I promise. What year did you get into Dubai?
It was about 5.5 years back.
Relatively, that's a small amount of time, right? But for this region, so many things can happen in 5 years.
Absolutely.
What did the hospitality industry look like when you walked through the doors?
Question. A very good question. So I think I saw the graph wrong. Okay. It had 2 arms to it, and I thought it's time to go to Middle East, right? And I think what I saw was the business going up. And when I came here, I realized that if you remember 5.5 years back, we had a little bit of a slowdown in UAE. And I think the graph was the other way around. The number of hotels were growing and the business was coming down. So I think it was totally inverted, and I said, hello, what did I do with my timing here? But I have to say that this is an amazing part of the world, UAE, and how the local authorities, the government connect with all the different private businesses to see what's the best for this country is amazing. And I saw that time how the country kind of came together and was so agile. And let's even move forward to COVID. I don't know if you were in Dubai for COVID. And I'm happy we can say pre and post COVID now. Wow, that was some time. In fact, I was just remembering the other day, driving from DIFC to Marina. I remember once during COVID, it was like a Will Smith movie. The Sheikh Zayed Road was empty. And if you recollect, we used to get a little bit of time to go and do the grocery shopping. And the road was empty, and I said, my God, I'm never going to complain about traffic in my life. God, bring traffic back. And 2 weeks back, I was saying, what the hell?
Why am I sitting
crazy.
here?
Yeah, it's crazy traffic. You forget.
You forget.
Yeah, but I think that's good in the sense that I think it's good people forget, and we as human beings don't kind of remain stuck to something we forget, and otherwise we would never move on.
Would never move on, and it's good to move on. It's good to appreciate. I think that's where gratitude comes from, right?
Absolutely.
So we do appreciate where we are, but that was a very interesting time in our lifetime.
100%. 100%. I think coming back to what I was saying, the agility required to change from everywhere. And I think big thanks to how different governments reacted. And I was reflecting on how quickly we closed, how quickly we did things, and we opened up again. It's been inspiring to see that.
You know, you were speaking about moving from playing on the field to coaching.
Yes.
In terms of your leadership role in the industry. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that the role of a COO has?
I think it is about the fact that when you look at that role, often people feel that it needs to be very strategic, it needs to be high level, or these are the perceptions I have heard about.
Sure.
Yeah. So from what I have heard about. But I would say that that's a misconception. I think if one needs to be good and successful, one needs to do both. Bringing back balance, you have to be, if I take the example of a party, you have to enjoy the dance floor, but there are times when you would get off and just see the dance floor and see what's happening, and then get back. And what I'm trying to get to is that you need to get to hotels, you need to be visible. COVID again taught us that businesses can't be run through Teams and Zoom. You need to be with your people, and I think I want to come back to people. We'd circle back on that one. You need to be there, you need to be visible, you need to be there to understand how business is operating and listen to team members when you're going to different hotels. Yet you need to kind of come out of that and be strategic and see what needs to be done moving forward. But then again, come back and be with the people. So I think you need to do both.
You wanted to circle back to people. Tell me your thoughts.
Yes. I think people are the most important in every business. But I'll talk about mine, and I think it is the most important pillar for us. Let's break this down to make it simple. We today, Marriott, are one of the largest hotel companies.
Correct.
More than 31 brands, spread over luxury, premium, and select business. And brands really vary from St. Regis, Ritz-Carlton, a Marriott, a Sheraton, a Courtyard. But all businesses, we don't own the business. So we have approximately 8,700 or more hotels. We manage or we franchise. Now let's say you go to St. Regis and you have a great experience, right? Which I'm sure you will.
I did.
You're going to say St. Regis is a great brand. So you kind of somewhere add to the brand in your perception. And every guest engagement that happens by every associate adds to that. By any chance, if you didn't have that experience and it was negative, it'll kind of take it away from that brand.
Absolutely.
So every interaction is either adding or deleting. Now imagine take one hotel, you're at least going to have 1,000 interactions or even more per day. Now multiply that by 8,600. I mean, my maths is not so good, so I won't get into calculating.
I can't help you there either.
Yeah.
I write words. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think what I'm getting to is that every personal interaction adds or takes away. So these brands, which are the only thing we own as a business, are brought to life by people. So if people are not important, what is? So I think people are the most important to our business, and focusing on that pillar is a very important part of the.
You know, Sandeep, that was a really, really good illustration. And different. It was a different illustration. A lot of people often say that, you know, like, this is a people-first business, we're people-centric. For you, how do you make sure that that is not just a statement and it's something that you wake up every morning and do your best to make it a reality?
Good question. And can you indulge me in a story?
Of course, always. I love your stories.
Okay. This is a story again of the famous COVID times, and we're just opening up, and I was in terms of the different parts of Middle East, and I was touring Saudi Arabia. It's a great market. It's a big market for us, so much so that this is one of the markets where we have 39 open hotels and we have 46 projects. The projects are more than the open hotels. And exciting times. We can talk about that too. But Saudi, and then I told the vice president that time that, listen, back it up. You know, back up the agenda. I want to make it to every hotel, get to the properties, see the places, meet the owners, and kind of connect with the teams. You know, we all have been locked up, so time to kind of connect. I think he did take me seriously, which I'm happy about. But I think it was about end of the trip, and I still remember clearly. We were in Jeddah. It was at the Sheraton in Jeddah. We were sitting there, and I was like, I'm done. I mean, he's really packed it up. It was 2 weeks tour, and I didn't have COVID, but I think I was coming down with a bit of being tired and a bit of a cold. And so he said, we have half an hour, and then we're meeting the team for dinner. So he kind of walked into the room. I had, okay, let me just go back to the room, answer all the missed calls.
Right.
I get to the room, and there is a note from a housekeeper.
Okay.
And it said, you know, Sandeep, you're part of our family, and you're getting a little cold. And why don't you take this tea? It was made of hibiscus flower. Just put in hot water, and said, you know, go sit on the balcony and enjoy this, and leave your phone behind. You are part of the family, and we care. And this was a housekeeper who'd written that. Now, very nicely done. I did listen to her or him because it said the housekeeper. And I left the phone and then enjoyed my tea. Now, when I was doing that, tea or the liquid, which was the hot water, sitting on the terrace, I remembered that few years back, I think it was 10 years back, when I was looking after Europe, we had Mr. Marriott come to Vienna.
Wow.
And I had the good fortune of spending 2 days with him. He landed, and we had kept his first evening free. And he landed, we welcomed him, sat in the car, was driving to the hotel, and he said, what are you doing this evening? Are you free for dinner? And you know, in my mind I was saying, Mr. Marriott, if I had anything, I would cancel and be there for that dinner.
Yeah, sure. Let me check.
No, I said, yes, of course I'm free. And I said, but I thought you would be tired, so we kept your evening free. And he said, no, this is important. I want to have dinner with you. So we had dinner. Long story short, during the dinner, all we spoke about how it is 1 hour before the dinner, you're rehearsing all your numbers and
Right.
this hotel, that hotel,
Yes.
this number.
Make sure
GOP
to remember
margin.
to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 things to say, and all the good stuff. But all we spoke about was personal. He spoke about how I was part of the family, what was I doing, and that time I was doing an executive MBA, why I was doing it, what was it all about, my family, what do I want to do next. So for him, that dinner was all about me. Here you are, Mr. Marriott, talking about me being part of the family and the family and the people culture coming out. And here you are, fast forward 10 years later, COVID, sitting in the terrace, hibiscus drink, if you've forgotten. A housekeeper saying to that. A big learning that culture and people first and focus on people is not the role of a CEO, Mr. Marriott, or it is everybody in between, from anywhere to anywhere, any discipline, any position, a housekeeper, kitchen steward, it's everybody. But I think it's everybody's role to talk about it, share examples of stories like this, that this touched me for sure, both Mr. Marriott and that housekeeper, and it connects, that the life or everybody in between is involved. And I think all one can do is keep talking about it and keep bringing that people focus and culture. The more you repeat, the more it's going to spread.
I mean, the story has definitely touched me. I think it's so beautiful to walk into your hotel room. It goes beyond personalization. I don't even know what to call that. Literally, you feel like you're home. You've come home and your loved one has left a tea because your throat was a bit scratchy. It's beautiful. Something came to mind that I'd love to pick your brain on.
Sure.
You mentioned numerous times in this conversation about the importance of this being a people-focused business. Do you think that is something that you can hire for, or can you teach? Because I'm not going to lie to you, Sandeep. I've been to some places which will remain unnamed, and I have gone in and I can off the bat tell, it's either this poor person is not in a good mood today, or they're just not a people person, and that's okay. I'm just gonna, check myself in or get my table and just call it a day. But is it something you can teach, or do you hire for that person, that people person skill?
I would say, for me, we would hire more for that people person skill than a technical skill. I think to hire for the heart is more important than a particular technical skill. A part of the technical skill can be taught, but hospitality comes from the heart. Yes, the more we talk, I was talking about the fact that, earlier, that the more you talk about it, the more it will spread. And at times, at the cost of repeating, success hits that, everybody talks about it, and it's just a bit of a wildfire that spreads. So yes, somebody who comes into this environment would kind of only grow more into it. But I think somewhere between technical knowledge and hiring for the heart or for the people focus, I would say let's go for this, and we can teach the technical.
Because there's just some things you can't teach, right? It has to come from innate.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're here. You are the COO of Marriott International. It's a big role. I'd like to get a sense of what your day looks like, typically.
Good question. It really varies. It varies depending on if one is traveling on to one of the countries one looks after, for meeting people or meeting owners or visiting hotels, or one is kind of going to the office for another day at work. So it really depends, but I would bucket it into maybe 3 to kind of somewhere get to an answer to that question. The first is people again. You end up spending a lot of time trying to connect with people. The second would be a lot of time is also with ownership groups.
Right.
End of the day, as I mentioned before, we don't own hotels. We have owners who have invested, and it is absolutely important that we are mindful that we need to make sure that we are going back to them and delivering to what they wanted. And it's not only financials. Financial is one, Some might have a loan, some might have a certain need to return on investment, what they've put into the hotel, and some others might have some other needs. So I think that part is very important, and that does take a lot of time, whether it is for the current projects, it's for future projects that we're looking at. The good thing is we've seen that a lot of our signings are with our current owners, which speaks good for our teams and all the hotel teams, what they're delivering, because they're looking at that and saying, okay, let's do more for them. So I think kudos to the teams on property and offices that are making it easier for us to get more hotels with our current owners. So I think the second bucket is important is our owners.
Right.
Third is, it would be great to have owners have a hotel, have people, but have no guests, right? So I mean, the guest is an important part, and today guests have more choice than before.
Yes.
In the good thing is that on one side is that a lot of the product is moving to experiences. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people are saying, instead of buying a watch, a bag, a shoe, or whatever for my anniversary, for my birthday, let's go to XYZ place.
Right. An experience.
An experience. So that falls very well to our industry where more people are traveling. But I think expectations are increasing too. There are more choices. There are more choices in terms of hotels. There are more choices in brands, more places to go. So I think the guest focus needs to remain. So whether you're meeting some guests to get a feel of what's happening, one gets a lot of letters and emails, not letters, emails from guests to kind of look into that in terms of what feedback is coming. And interestingly, feedback when it's positive, it's all about people again. Nobody writes to me saying, I went in there and the chandelier was really shiny, or the carpet was blue. It's about people. So I think it comes back to that people point again. So I think that's another important bucket for us, being guests.
Do you remember the worst advice you've ever gotten in your career?
The worst advice?
The worst advice you've ever gotten.
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think it's about the anti of comfort zone, meaning, at one particular time when I wanted to move out and do something totally different in another region, and somebody was saying, this is so good, and you're doing well, why do you want to move? I think that, which thankfully I didn't take, I would say that would have been a wrong advice if I'd followed, because it was basically saying stay in the comfort zone. And I think comfort zone is the enemy of achieving things. So that maybe comes across first to my mind when you ask me the question.
Right.
It's an interesting one. Nobody's asked me that before.
It's beautiful in a way because somebody had actually given you what they thought was good advice, right? But it was the worst advice if you had taken it, because it would have kept you, and you probably would have been successful, but maybe not at this level or maybe not in this place, or it could have been anything. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I would rather give the opposite today to leaders who come and talk about growing and doing different things to get out of the comfort zone.
There's often this insight that comes up when I speak to the hotel industry specifically about the struggle to hire enthusiastic younger people into this sector, because it is quite a challenging environment to work in. The hours are long, the work is tricky, it's not easy dealing with people despite this being such a people-centric business. What advice do you have that could motivate and encourage more young people into this industry?
It is one of the few industries where you can grow from, you could start at any level and you could be a president of the same company. If you look around our leadership team, my boss, was the president of Europe, Middle East, Africa, Satya, he was a night auditor, right? He started in finance as a night auditor, and today he's the president. We have a lot of other leaders who started in stewarding, and they ended up being the CEOs of a region. So I think the fact that you can grow from whatever you start within an industry and you could be heading regions, I think that growth trajectory is something which is very encouraging. It inspires me, and I would say that would be one thing for sure. But we're doing a lot of things internally to see how we proactively try to see that when I spoke about the focus on people, that what are we doing about that too, right? So one of the big things for us is diversity. That's a big focus for us. And then as the word goes, I think diversity or diverse people just bring diverse opinion on the table and leads to better ideas and thoughts and decisions. So I would say we're kind of looking at, for example, localization first. And one often visualizes diversity as only women and men leadership, but I mean diversity from all aspects. Yeah? So let's talk about localization. Saudi Arabia expanding a lot. People are starting to travel for tourism too. Before it used to be a lot of business only. But authenticity of service will come in when people from Saudi are doing the service. So we just opened the St. Regis in Red Sea, and we have 45% of our people who are from Saudi. We have 46 projects to go. We need to continue doing that. So we're kind of doing a program called Tehseen, which is a program where we've tied up with Cornell University, and we're doing how do we grow the local talent. It's not only the service part of it, but success will be that our hotels are led by general managers who are Saudi nationals who have grown from this program. So one kind of bucket we're focusing on is localization. So connecting back to your question, when people would see that, they would kind of know that it's a reality, that they can be GM, they could be leaders, and that would encourage the young Saudi community to kind of join the business. We also focus a lot on women in leadership. So we have a program called FLY, not literally, but FLI, Female Leadership Initiative, which we're doing in different parts of Middle East too. We're doing Qatar, we're doing UAE, Jordan, in Turkey, where we're looking at bringing different women who want to grow in the business. Now, it's not that you need to say that this is a focus or push it. It's about bringing them and creating an environment where we have mentors for them. Bringing in stories of different female leaders who've gone through a few things that come in their own way, maybe. So then it's kind of a lot of the female leaders seeing that there is an opportunity to grow. The last maybe example to share, then we move on to something else, but is also iJobs, which we started. And iJobs is, to your point, the youngsters want to grow fast today.
Yes.
Yeah, they want to say, I want to learn this, I want to learn this, I want to grow.
Instant gratification,
They might be looking and saying, you move out, I'm coming, I need your chair. Fast. So I think iJobs was our answer to that. So if somebody joins today the front office, not only would they get trained for front office, but they would be training for the restaurant, the heart of the house. So when it's busy in a particular part of the hotel, they could move around, which creates that excitement of knowing everything in the hotel. Creates the excitement that tomorrow I can grow faster because I know more things. And it's a two-way, it works both ways. For the hotel, it's great because suddenly one restaurant busy, you can move people, your team, to that restaurant, to be able, rather than staffing it up everywhere. So it works both ways, and I think that's helping us bring in the younger team to realize that they can grow fast. So I think different programs to answer that need is certainly helping us.
I support completely what you said about representation. I think the more people see somebody who looks like them or sounds like them or comes from where they come from doing something great, they get truly inspired. Nothing can inspire somebody by more than looking at somebody that represents them in a way.
Absolutely.
So it's very important. I want to talk about the brand Marriott.
Sure.
What does this brand represent in this region, in the world, amongst all the other hotel brands that surrounds it?
First and most important, back to where we started, people. I think I've never heard any leader not focusing on people at Marriott. Putting people first, and this whole family culture is something that I think stands out for us. Yes, we talk about Marriott Bonvoy, that the fact that we are today more than 192 million, members. I mean, if you really look at it, it's more than the population of UK, Germany, France, and another small country. But that's important. The fact that we have more than 31 brands, that's important. The fact that we have so many repeat owners who are kind of working with us, whether it be in the residential space or conversions in the year for you. All this is important. So I don't undermine that. But all I'm saying is, if you say the one thing that truly stands out is this people first focus and the culture that we have.
Certainly does sound like there's a common goal, which
Yes.
I really like. How would you describe the hospitality sector in this region?
It's getting more and more competitive. There's a lot of growth. I mean, if you look at us today, we are more than 77 hotels in UAE alone. You come down to Dubai, where we are sitting, both of us, it's more than 53 hotels in one city. There are not too many cities in the world which could have, our own hotels, more than 53 hotels. So it's growing a lot. If you look at just UAE, we have more than 300 restaurants. And I'm giving you as an example. If you look at Turkey, we have 50 open hotels, 40 to go. So it's going to be a number of hundreds soon. UAE is a similar situation with 77 and about 28 projects to go. Saudi Arabia, similar. And it's exciting, is what I could say in terms of hospitality in the region.
Sandeep, I make a joke quite often, and I'll keep making this joke until it becomes stale. While we're sitting here talking, I'm sure there's 5 restaurants and hotels that are up already.
Absolutely.
And they was built while we were sitting here having this conversation, Brings me to my next question.
Sure.
How do you survive in this, like you said, on steroids hospitality game?
I think I would say that it's one hotel at a time, one restaurant at a time, one team at a time, and one person at a time. I think if we continue, in my opinion, as we focus on people at Marriott, if people remain excited, engaged, they see their future with us, they are happy, they're going to look after the guests who are going to be happy, and those guests are going to come back.
And now, what do you think the industry could do without or less of?
I think arrogance. At times I find you go to, without naming any, you go to a restaurant which is very successful, and people, suddenly there's an arrogance which sets in, and I think there's nothing more upsetting than that. And it may be the best restaurant, great food, good design, everything being what it should be. I wouldn't repeat it if there is arrogance of you being looked down, or people chatting among themselves, kind of as if they're discussing the guest. I think that arrogance we need to stay out of, as successful as we might get to be. It puts me off completely.
Couldn't agree with you more. The final question before we get into the really good stuff.
Oh, really? Okay.
I want to get your opinion and your experience being in the industry for so long. You spoke about having, almost 300 restaurants. The relationship between hotels and F&B, and how that relationship has sort of leveled up the game, if you will.
Good question. First of all, just to clarify, the 300 restaurants are in UAE, right? So if I had to kind of go start looking at the region, there'll be much more. But especially when we look at Middle East, there is a culture of going to restaurants in hotels. A lot of locals also are going to restaurants and hotels, right? Some parts of Middle East, it's also because of the licensing of alcohol and how it works, that it's more in hotels. But there is a culture of going into restaurants and hotels. So hotels certainly need to have a good array of restaurants, because more and more we are finding people choosing even hotels where they want to stay depending on the food and beverage that the hotel has.
Yeah.
So the importance of food and beverage for sure was always there, but has even got speeded up more as we speak today. And we've done quite a few things in that space as well. So we started with A few years back, let's look at Marriott Bonvoy as a loyalty program. You could earn or redeem points with your hotel stay. Today, you could go into a lot of our markets in Middle East, including UAE, Qatar, where you can go and earn or redeem points in the restaurants. And we're kind of spreading this to the entire Middle East now. Hopefully by the end of the year, we would have done that. So we're kind of bringing in that loyalty into the restaurants too. So in one way, competing with others, but at the same time also having a lot of restaurants and hotels which are very relevant. So that not only the standalone restaurants or concepts doing well, but also the hotel restaurants. So a very important question that people are actually choosing hotels today with the restaurant options they have.
It's definitely become a consumer behavior pattern. This is how travelers are choosing to go everywhere now.
Absolutely.
Can you give us a few exciting highlights for what to expect from Marriott?
In terms of, first of all, when we talk about growth, we spoke about a few markets already. So we still, if this question was 2 years back, I would have spoken a lot about Qatar as we were doubling up from 10 to 20 for the World Cup. UAE was growing a lot. We were opening our 50th property, and we still have 77 and 28 to go. So, but currently, where we look at it, a big growth is coming to us from Saudi. So that's certainly a market to watch. We recently did a survey with our loyalty members, Bonvoy members. And if I had to narrow down to this region, there are about 4 or 5 trains that are really standing out. So one is, no surprise, technology and artificial intelligence. I was surprised to see the number. It said that 50% of the members said they've used AI recently either to decide where they want to go or what do they want to do.
Yep.
And 70% are saying they will. So this is a space to watch. The second I would say is, which came out from that, was sustainability. And this is something I truly believe that it's no more a trend word, or sustainability is in. It's not about trend, it's a reality. And everybody realizes that this is our earth, we're staying in it. We need to do something about it. So I think there's a personal connect to the sustainability for everybody. So there's a lot we're doing in this space, and we can talk about it if you have time. The third that came out was slow vacation, to slow down, disconnect from technology. If you say, what are you going to do to challenge yourself next Sunday? I think I'll say I'll do a slow vacation because for me, disconnecting with technology is not the easiest. I forgot my mobile phone the other day.
Oh, the world came to an end, I'm sure.
I felt naked. But I think slow vacation is coming up where people are saying just disconnect from tech and kind of slow down and connect with where you're going. So I think that came out that they want to do. Another thing which came out was about taking more frequent breaks, not necessarily going too far out, but going to places around. I'm sure it might have been true for you too, that a lot of times you say, oh, this is close by and I'll go later, let me just go there.
Yes.
That's coming back, kind of a duplication where people are saying, I want to go close by, shorter break. So I think that would be something which we would see more of, or the survey has shown that people are saying that they would do more of. And then we saw this during staycations, if you remember. I mean, COVID started this whole thing of staycation.
Yes.
So that I think would be something which we would see more of as per the survey we did. Personally, I also feel this concept of leisure is going to continue, and we need to make sure that we are looking into this. And I'll share a practical example. So I got you get the feedback or reports, or there's so many analysis of, what we are doing well with, what we need to do better, or what guests are telling us. And interestingly, I found a resort, one of the biggest things to improve was the Wi-Fi speed, and a demand for a spa in a city hotel, which kind of ties up with the whole leisure part, right? That business and leisure getting mixed here. So even if people are on a resort, they're kind of checking their they're connected with the tech or so. Maybe they want that slow vacation, but they are connecting and they want their Wi-Fi. And they're traveling for business or work and they're in a city hotel, but they want a bit of downtime and get that treatment. So I think that is something that's going to continue for sure. But in terms of growth, we are also seeing a lot of growth in residential projects, branded residences, both in terms of monthly rentals. We opened Element a few years back in Jataf in Dubai. It's been running almost full house from almost month one. A lot of people have started to move out into branded residences, and it's in select or premium or luxury space, not having the thing of looking after the services or the electricity bill and the internet and everything is taken care of.
Kind of effortless.
Yeah, effortless. So I think they want that to be taken away from their plate, and so we're seeing a lot of branded residences doing well, and a lot of sold residences. I think I'm sure you've seen. Your smile says you bought one recently.
I wish.
Yeah, I wish too. I bought when I'd come. We're seeing a lot of like W residences or Ritz-Carlton or the St. Regis residences, and I think that's from the fact that people are traveling, staying in different brands, connecting so much with it. They're saying, I want to live in this space, and so we're starting to see branded residences do a lot too.
I've been smiling like this because I thoroughly enjoyed that report so much that you keep referencing from. Well done on that. That was such a brilliant trends report that you released, I believe, either late last year or beginning of this year.
Correct. Absolutely.
Fantastic. I do want to ask you what is next for you personally. What's your next great adventure, Sandeep?
Wow. On the professional front, something which has kind of been with me for a while now is continuous learning in terms of doing something every year to just add on. So I think education is similar. That you often say, will this help me? But I think till the time you just don't buy it and kind of just go through that learning experience, you kind of don't get to win it. So I think that for sure I would continue on. And the second thing I feel personally is that I've been very fortunate. I've had along my journey great mentors, great sponsors who have kind of believed in me and shown me the staircase to kind of walk up to the next level and kind of do something more. And I think I feel it's time to kind of do the reverse as well. So I think kind of keep somebody showing me, but also keep doing that for a lot of other leaders.
Paying it forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we look forward to you doing all of those great things and then coming back and telling us about it. Now, are you ready for the exciting part of this interview? Not that the rest wasn't exciting, but this is the hard questions.
Okay.
Are you ready? This is like this,
feels like
this is the tough questions.
Talk, yeah.
This is the tough questions.
Okay.
So we have a segment on the show, it's called This or That. I'm going to just throw out some things at you without thinking too long. You're just going to tell me what resonates.
Okay.
In-room dining or buffet?
Buffet.
Savory or sweet?
Savory.
Ocean view or city view?
City view.
Okay. Fine dining or street food?
Street food.
Summer holiday or winter holiday?
Winter holiday.
Very nice. Sandeep, it has been an absolute pleasure sitting here and chatting to you and absorbing as much of your experience and your skills and your wisdom as you have imparted on us. Very excited to share this episode, and I'm grateful for your time. So thank you for sharing.
And I also want to say something. One is to thank you for your time, and must say that it didn't feel like a interview or anything like that. It felt just like sitting in a bar having a conversation.
I really appreciate
Without
that.
a drink.
Without a drink. We'll fix that.
Yes, exactly.
But I felt the same way. I think your energy is something very special.
Thank
I think
you.
a lot of people feel that way, not just me. I'd like to think I'm special, but I think a lot of people feel that. And we're just really grateful that we get to steal you away from your busy day for this much time so that you can give us all of that juice you have in you and we can share it with the rest of the viewers.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
This was
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.